after knowing those points. So once we are aware of TypeScript, now we can start working with Angular. That means we are going to see how to deal with Angular. So we will see how to set environment for Angular, how we can set up environment for Angular, and how we can create Angular project, and how we can understand the project architecture. That means the project structure, the file system structure, and working with the file system structure, we will see that. All right. So setting up environment and working with Angular. So we will see the step-by-step process. Actually, for that, currently we are now dealing with Angular 12. 12 is the latest version, Angular up to 11, Angular 9, 10, and 11 are in long-term support actually. 12 is the current active version. Current active is 12. All others are in long-term support. Other versions are no longer supported yet. So that means the other versions of Angular are no longer supported officially by Angular team. So 9, 10, 11 are under long-term support and current active is 12. First, we will see how we can set up the environment for Angular. So how we can install, work with the Angular. So first, what you have to do is just some basic points for understanding, right? I will give you here. This is setup environment for Angular. So first point is you have to install Node.js on your PC for the package manager npm. I hope already you have this, right? Already you have this package manager npm. So already we discussed that for working with TypeScript, already we have it, right? So you already have the Node package manager installed on your PC. Now the Visual Studio Code, install Visual Studio Code ID. So that is the editor, right? We are using that editor. We also have this. And install TypeScript. So on your PC. So TypeScript also, we already installed it. npm install -g TypeScript. We already worked with the TypeScript. So after that, we need to install Angular CLI. So what you have to do is you have to install Angular CLI. You have to install Angular CLI. So Angular CLI is nothing but it is a command line tool. It is a command line tool. So used for creating, configuring and deploying, configuring and deploying Angular projects. It is used for creating, configuring and deploying Angular projects. For that, we need Angular CLI. It's a command line tool. It provides the commands for that. How to install Angular CLI is, so we have to run the command npm install -g @angular/CLI. So this is what you have to do. This will globally install Angular on your computer so that you can now create Angular projects and work with that. You have to install Angular CLI. This is Angular CLI. After installing Angular CLI, you can check the version of Angular installed on your PC. So check the version. So you can check the version of Angular ng-version. So that is the command you can run. So to execute. So you have to install Angular CLI. So open the command prompt. In the command prompt, here you have to run npm install -g @Angular CLI. This will install Angular for you. And once it is installed, already it is installed on my machine. Once it is installed, ng-version. So it will get the Angular version that is installed on your PC. And you can see the version of Angular that is installed here. It is displayed. So that is the Angular version. And you can see the current CLI version is 12. So that means we are using Angular 12. If in your computers, if you have already installed any another version, means already if you have any older version of Angular, so if you try to run this again, then you have a conflict with the versions. You have to uninstall the old version and install the new version, update to the new version. Remember, updating to new version is projects will be doing. The complete library you are installing means you have to install from this location. You have to install. How we can remove the old version and install the new version? So let's check that. Actually, what you have to do is, if it is there, that means your Angular is working fine. So that means it is properly installed. How we can update to new version? How we can update to new version? If any version is already installed. Update to new version if any version is already installed. For that, what you have to do is, first step, you have to uninstall existing Angular CLI. Angular CLI. So we have to uninstall the existing Angular CLI. For that, you have to run the command npm uninstall -g @Angular CLI. You have to uninstall that Angular CLI. After that, so clean cache. You have to clean the cache. That means npm. So npm cache verify. So this command you have to run. Cache verify is the command. So this will uninstall. After that, cache verify will delete all the temporary files that are copied in various locations related to Angular. So otherwise, the new version have a conflict. That's the reason you have to clean the cache. After that, you can install. So now you can install latest version. Install latest version. You can install the latest version. So you can run cache verify. It will run both the options if you don't know. If you don't know, at least now you know that cache verify will clean and verify. Both it will do. I hope you don't know that. Because after all, you people coming from W3 schools websites knowledge, such people don't show your talent here. Just follow what I am explaining. Okay. You W3 schools people have W schools knowledge only, right? That is the reason. Keep your knowledge with you. Just follow what we are discussing here. Okay. Right. Uh, right. Right. Now, technically, here we need to configure that. So latest version is nothing but just latest version. So what we have to do is, again, you have to run the command npm install -g Angular CLI, right? So this is what you need to keep, right? That is installed successfully and it is configured successfully. Now that is the new version. That is the new version defined. That means already if you have any version running on your PC, how you can clean up that and get the new version. That is the process we have to do. So once Angular is successfully installed in your computer, now the next step is, so we have to create, so Angular workspace. We have to create Angular workspace. So generally, you should know that workspace comprises of collection. So workspace comprises of set of projects. So it can share, it can maintain. Workspace can maintain global repository, global repository that can be shared across projects. So we are not directly creating an Angular application. So first we will create a workspace. Generally, the purpose of workspace is, in a workspace, you can maintain several projects. And those projects can share the repository library between them. So it's always good to configure the workspace and maintain the project in that workspace. Actually, majority wherever you see about how to create Angular project, always directly the projects are created. So the projects are created. In that case, what should happen here is, so you have to ignore that and better create workspace and maintain all the projects there. So how to create a workspace? To create workspace, we have to run this command. That means first step, what we have to do is, to create workspace, go to any location on your PC. That means I open here any location on the PC. That means some any location on your PC, some D drive, C drive, E drive, any location on your PC. So open that location in the command prompt. So the location is opened in the command prompt. So now here what you have to do is, you need to run the command. So ng. So here new, ng new, and workspace name, workspace name. So Angular 12. So workspace. That is the workspace name. Any name for the workspace you can configure and you can define. So I'm configuring this. That means this is the workspace name. That means in your PC, so make sure that we don't have already that workspace here. Right. I will just give ng new, and Angular 12 workspace. And this Angular 12 workspace, here run a command --, create application. Create application is equal to false. Create application is equal to false. Right. That is, the application is equal to false. Right. Better, it will be better with you kind people. Okay, so see, here I'm creating an application. I'm configuring and creating an application, and this is Angular new workspace, Angular 12 workspace, and create application is false. This indicates that currently we are not creating an application. We are creating an workspace. The intention of workspace is to keep all the projects at one place. So you have to run this command. And when we run this command, ng new Angular 12 workspace. Now here it is showing some option. So some name is not valid because the name, it is not allowing any alphabets only allowed, numbers are not allowed. So continuously hyphens are not allowed. Suppose Angular workspace. I hope this is not there in my machine. Yeah. Angular workspace I am giving. Yeah. And hit enter. So this is the Angular workspace we are creating. Now it is creating a workspace for you and it is configuring everything. So it will take a time, some time to set up the workspace for you. Remember, now you are not creating a project. So you are creating the workspace. We are creating the workspace. So you have to run the command to create the workspace. So go to any location on your PC, So some C drive or anywhere. And here we have to run the command. So ng is the short form of Angular command line tool. To invoke the command line tool, we have to use ng new and the workspace name. Any name for the workspace. You can give the workspace name. And you have to define create application. Create application is equal to false. That is, create application equal to false. So I have given this here in my drive, C drive here. I given this ng new. So the name I given as Angular workspace, and create application. Create application is equal to false. That is creating the new workspace. How you configure and create the workspace. So it will first set up the environment for the workspace. It will configure everything for you. And you see it is installing all the library required for the workspace. Remember, it is downloading and configuring all the library required for workspace only. In that workspace, again, you have to create projects. So the intention is nothing but generally when we create the workspace, the library can be maintained globally across projects. So you will have an Angular workspace, and in this Angular workspace, you will have collection of Angular projects. So you will have the collection of projects, and the projects actually, there can be several projects configured and maintained here. So we can have several projects configured. So in this workspace, there will be so many projects you can maintain. Suppose we have some shopping project, something like, so we have like bank project, some store, something like this. And usually all these projects can have a common repository now. That means here you will have the library. That means Workspace will provide the library, and it will provide the configuration, configurations, and it will provide the resources. That's what actually repository is. And these can be shared. This can be shared and used. So this can be shared and used across all the projects. Across all the projects, they can be shared and used. That means we can use across all these projects. So any project can use that. Any project can use it. So globally, we are maintaining it. Generally, when you look into websites and all, how to create Angular project, you will see people directly showing you creating an Angular project. So better, so create a workspace. In that workspace, maintain your projects. That will be at high level. It is a good environment to manage. So we are doing that. So we are creating the workspace. Now you can see the workspace is successfully configured. It's ready. So all the packages successfully installed. So the workspace is ready. Once the workspace is ready, next step what we have to do is, so open the workspace folder in your editor. Editor is here Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. In the editor, you have to open the workspace folder. So and now you can work there. Now let's see. So I will open the Visual Studio Code. So it's finished, it's done. Now I will open the Visual Studio Code. And in Visual Studio Code, go to File menu, open folder. And in this folder, we have Angular Workspace. That is the folder. Select that Angular Workspace and open. And this is your project workspace. This is the workspace. And in this workspace, you have some files already copied. Some files already copied. Actually, few files already here. Generally, you people know in the web development process, actually, node modules is the folder where all the library files are maintained. That means, suppose you are installing Bootstrap, you are installing Bootstrap icons, you are installing Font Awesome, you are installing jQuery. So because you can use all of them in this project. So when you are installing different libraries, all the library related files are kept in node modules. Node modules is the folder that comprises of all your library files. You can get the library files from this node modules folder. Editor config contains the settings for the current editor. Settings for current editor means, so what indent style it should use, so what quotation types it should use in Typescript. Typescript, see, quotation type, it is given as single. You can change these settings. So you want double quote for strings, single quote for strings. So these are editor related settings. And if you are collaborating on Git related configurations are defined in git ignore, that is the file. And Angular JSON, you can see there is a file Angular JSON. This Angular JSON contains all the configuration for the projects. Currently, we don't have projects. After projects are created, so this Angular JSON will contain information about which project from which location the files will be picked up. So where the output files will be copied. So from where it will get the styles, from where it will get the scripts. So which compiler it will use. All such things are defined inside this Angular JSON. So currently we don't have that here. So that is because we don't have any projects. We will add projects and come back here. We will see that. So application related entire configuration is present inside this Angular JSON. Package JSON and package lock JSON are very common for web developers. You might have seen in every project. Package JSON and package lock JSON are nothing but they are used for package JSON and package lock JSON are used for maintaining the metadata for your workspace. That means what packages are installed, which version installed, so what is the project, so what are the dependencies, everything information about your project will be there. That means what libraries are installed, which version installed, all the information will be inside it. And you have this another one readme file. The readme file is nothing but readme file is a help documentation. Another ts config help, you can write the help about your project, how to run the project, how to deploy, all such help documentation you can maintain here. And ts config, it contains the rules for TypeScript that you are going to use. Rules for TypeScript means in TypeScript declaring data type is mandatory or not. In TypeScript, class name must be in camel case or in Pascal case. That means every word first letter. We have to write the rules for TypeScript. Why? Because generally what happens when TypeScript is being used in a project and many people are working in a team environment and everybody have his own mechanism of writing TypeScript. That means some person will write so string in double quotes, some person will write in single quote, some person will write in backtick. This leads to lot of inconsistency in coding in a single project itself. Some people will give the class name as camel case. Some people will give as Pascal case. Pascal case means every word first letter capital. So to avoid such inconsistency in coding, we keep everything in one place. That means rules in one place. We will tell that string must be in single quote. If any another developer is trying double quote, it will show him warnings. So for that, ts config, this is the TypeScript configuration file. This TypeScript configuration file contains the rules about the TypeScript that you are going to use. And the target, see the target, so into which version JavaScript it has to translate and where to translate the output directory. So all the rules are configured here. So this is basically the rules required for TypeScript. So we don't need to worry about all these configurations because we don't have a project yet. Once we add a project, then we can configure the project related settings and we can manage everything from there. So we will use these files in various occasions now, and we will come back to them once the project is created. Currently you have just Workspace. There is no project inside it. So Workspace is ready. And this is the Workspace file system actually. I will just give a screenshot for that. This is your Workspace file system. When you create a workspace, that is the Workspace file system. That is the basic Workspace file system. Now, after configuring the workspace, we have to create an Angular project. That means add Angular project into workspace. We have to add Angular project into workspace. For that, what you have to do is, so open your workspace location. workspace location in terminal. Open the workspace location in terminal. You have to open the workspace location in terminal. So you see the workspace location. So open the terminal. So open the terminal. This is your workspace location in terminal. See Angular workspace. You can do it from command prompt also, that location. And in this location, we have to run the command. So ng generate application, and application name. That means the project name. Project name is some shopping. So that is the application name. ng generate application shopping. I am creating an application shopping and hit enter. So that means now it creates an application for you. Currently, you have a workspace. In a workspace, you can create any number of applications. And we are creating an application here. So create an application here. And when I am trying to create an application, ng generate application name, it is asking here, do you want to share this project with Google Analytics team? So if you share this project with Google Analytics team, so then this project related information will be maintained in the Google community. And any issues you can share with the community, they can they can suggest you the issues, how to resolve them. That is, if you want to share with the Google community, that is Google Analytics Angular team. We don't want to share this because this is just a local project we are creating. So I will not share that. Just no. You can share. If you share, that means it is now globally accessible to the Google Analytics team. So, and this project will be monitored by the communities, and they can suggest you various issues when you are building and developing, because it is just learning level. So it's waste of time of integrating with analytics and getting the information from analytics every time. That will pause your work regularly. So that is the reason that will be done. So once you finish developing the application, you can share later also. So initially I will say no. Okay. And now it is going to ask one more question. Do you want to add Angular routing into this project? So routing is very much important for single page applications, navigations. But that routing we can add later. So that means manually we will learn how to add routing into project later. In that case, as of now, you can ignore this routing. I don't want routing because I will add routing by myself manually. Later, if we want, we can add it. So initially we don't need, because we haven't learned anything about it. So we will ignore these two things. So share anonymous with Google Analytics, and do you want routing? I don't want any routing. Next, it is asking which CSS you want to use. Actually, CSS, there are pre-compilers. CSS pre-compilers like SAS, LESS are the pre-compilers. Traditional CSS is CSS. What is SCSS, SAS, and LESS? These are pre-compilers of CSS, which are used to make your CSS more convenient, more reusable, maintainable, testable. So for that, you have to learn SAS and LESS. As of now, if you are people aware of HTML and CSS, better use only just plain CSS for your project. So I am selecting only CSS. You can use up and down arrows to select which style sheets you want. I want only CSS. That is the style sheet I want. So hit enter. That's it. It will create project for you. It will maintain a project for you now. So what are the options we need to configure? So open the workspace in terminal and run the following command. So what is the command we have to run there? So we have to define. So that means the location will be like this. So Angular workspace. And here we have to run ng generate application and shopping. And here it is asking few questions. So share with Google Google team, Angular team. So such questions, I said no. And add routing module, So here also we said no. And style sheet type. So we selected CSS. That's the options we configured. So this will create an application for you. That will generate an application for you, configure an application for you. Now, how this application looks like, how it starts, how it works, these are the basic things we have to learn, right? Yes, Akarsh. What
Hello,
is
sir.
your, yes,
Sir, I am getting an error.
what error?
Sir, an unhandled exception occurred.
You have network issues.
So
Make
there
sure
is
that your network is fine. Otherwise, I will ping the hardware in charges number. You can contact them. He will see what problem you are facing hardware wise. Okay.
so I think network is fine, but semantics slash Angular is somewhere.
That is what I said. You have a wrong version installed in that. Understood?
So I had installed now only.
You have installed now only. What you installed, I will tell you clearly. Once, can you share your screen?
Yes, sir.
Uh, every, uh,
So is it visible?
uh, what you are doing there?
So I am creating a generating a
Have you seen the
project.
command what I given correctly?
Yes, sir.
What is that? Ng generate application name.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Uh, it's not working for your computer because it came from space. Come on, man. See the commands properly and run them. My computer, it is not working, right? See the commands properly, what we are doing it here. Yes. Yeah. Any doubts? You can raise your hand towards the end. I will get back to you. Not now, right? Any doubts? You can keep your doubts, and at the end, I will get back to you. Okay. Right. At the end, I will get back to you towards any doubts. Okay. Right. I hope you heard me. You have any doubts, I will get back to you towards the end. Okay. So now it is creating the project. So it is creating an Angular application and configuring the Angular application. And you can see the Angular project also successfully installed. That means installed all the packages for your project. It is successfully done. So these options are configured. Then you can see that immediately the project, you can see uh, in your project. That means this will add projects folder into workspace with shopping. And you can see that in the projects folder there is a projects folder. There you have that shopping, and in that all your project related files are maintained. And what are the files and how these files are used, we will discuss about them. We will see the project environment, how it works and how it is configured. We will see that. So initially, that is the basic how to configure and create the project. So once the project is ready, that means your project is ready. First, we will start this project and see, then we will understand how it is working in the background, the file system, how it works. I will tell you the step by step. process for that. Project is shopping. That is the project ready shopping. Once the project is ready and everything is working fine, so next step, what we have to do is, so we need to start the project and check. So let's start the project and check how it works, what is in the background. We will discuss all those points, how it comes, how the initial screen is delivered to you. Everything we will see step by step. So once the project is ready, so what you have to do is, so run your project. So to run the project, you have to use, to run the project, we have to use the option. And what is the option is, so in the terminal, so open workspace location, open workspace location in terminal. You open the workspace location in terminal and run the following command. So what is the command you have to run is, so here we have to say ng serve, ng serve hyphen project is equal to, which project? Shopping. Because your workspace may have several projects. If the workspace is having several projects, you have to mention which project to start. So we have to correctly mention that. One more time, I am telling you clearly, don't go with the websites online and come with those website questions to me. So say that in this website like this, in that website like this, you follow the notes I given to you, you will able to handle everything correctly. Because what the websites teaches you about Angular is directly to deal with Angular projects, not with workspace. So the commands they have to run there are different, and from the commands that we have to run in our current environment. That's the reason don't waste time in browsing online tutorials and coming with those doubts here, saying that in that website the command is like this and you are trying the same command. That means half you implemented what I said and rest of half you are trying from online websites. It will mess up your content. It will not work properly. So either follow that website or follow me. So only two options, right? Don't do hybrid work. Okay. Because their environments are different. Our environment is little different. We are working with the workspace based environment. So we stick to this point. Okay. So generally, so this is how we run the project. So what you have to do, open the terminal. In the terminal, we have to say ng serve and hyphen project is equal to. So what is the project? So the project is, so shopping, that is the project. Now it have to compile, so build and start the project. And generally, when you run this, what happens is, when you run this command, next step, what will happen is, it will start the live development server. When you do this, generally what it will do is, it will start your project. It will start your project on local live development server, live development server, live development server, which is listening on, so which is listening on this particular port number, http:// localhost 4200. That is the default port number that is listening on that port number. Then so once your project is compiled successfully, so now what you have to do is open the browser and request this http:// localhost and 4200. That's what you have to request to start your project and see the output what it gives. currently by default, your project have some ready-made presentation, ready-made logic running. We will see how to build our own environment. We will see step by step how to configure our own environment and deal with our own environment. So initially, this is to run the project and see now it's built successfully. So it compiled, it processed everything, generated everything successfully, and see it is showing that live development server is listening on this port number. So local host and this port number. So open your browser and request this and try. So what you do is open your browser. So this is the browser and request this http://localhost:4200. And when I hit enter, you can see this is the startup screen. This is the default Angular project screen. And how this screen is coming, we will see that. How to set up this screen by ourselves, how to run our own screen, how to configure it. We will see that. This is the initial screen. Now question is how this screen is coming. That means you request this and it will deliver this. So this is the basic initial screen. Let me take a snapshot for you so that you can see. So this is the initial screen. Okay. So 4200, this will get you the initial screen. Fine. So let me copy that. And this is the screen that you get actually. So the entire project screen will be there. Just I given rough here what it is going to do. Now, once it is ready, now we need to understand how this screen is coming, from where this screen is coming. That means how this output is coming. Because we haven't designed anything, now we need to know how Angular application presents all this. Actually, Angular is a single page application. Means we are building single page applications. So generally in single page application, it is a single page application. In single page application, so usually user will stay on only one page, and that page will be index page. Actually, in your project, that means we have projects folder. So in the projects folder, so you will have actually in the projects folder, you will have, in the projects folder. So we will have here in the projects folder, you will have shopping. That's what we added, shopping. And this is the shopping folder we are having. And in this shopping folder, so we need to look for, in this you will find there will be a folder called SRC. Source. In the shopping folder, you will find SRC. In this SRC, again, you will find, so here, so in this SRC, you see, there will be an index page. You see the projects in that shopping, in that SRC. In this SRC, you will find a file called index.html. So this is the startup page actually. That means actually your Angular application is starting with this page. And user will stay on this page. So this is the page delivered to you. But what interesting point you will find here is, see, that means this is the startup page. I will give a point here. So see, here I will give the point. So how Angular application projects initial content projects initial content. How Angular application projects initial content, how it is going to project the initial content. That's the point. Actually, how it projects is, so index.html is the startup page, is the startup page, is the startup page for project. So you can see index.html is the startup page. Its location will be here. This is the location for index.html. So for your reference sake, just I given that. It is present in projects. So shopping in SRC, index.html will be there. That is the initial location. Now what should happen here is, when you look at the index.html page, you observe carefully that I said that that is the startup page. And you go to index.html page. And you see in index.html page, in the body section, only a small tag is there. But when you look at the output, you see a lot of things are there. That means a lot of content is presented. Actually, to design all this content, lot of markup is required and CSS and all. But surprisingly, so you have only in the body section, only one tag. And this tag is delivering all this information. Actually, what is it? The concept is very simple. The content from index page. So generally, you should know that Angular is component based. Angular, React, all these are actually component based. And the concept of component is not new for any web developer. For example, they are component based. Suppose component is nothing but, generally you should know that component based means, I will give you a simple example. Suppose if you have learned HTML, CSS and bootstrap like things. Suppose you have a website like Amazon. This is Amazon. When you look at this website, in this website, you will find that this website contains so lot of components. The website contains a lot of components. Actually, so in this website, see, suppose this is the website. So this is the website. I will take a screen here. And generally, what happens now is, you see in this screen. So can you tell here? So this area. So can you tell what this area is called? Any technical name you know about this area? What that area is called? Do you know any technical area? Technical name. Actually, technical name for this is, actually that is a carousel. You know carousels? Have you heard about that? It is a carousel. You know, carousel. Have you heard about that? You don't know. So bootstrap. Generally in bootstrap, carousel, it is a carousel. Carousel is sliding banners. This is a component. That means how they designed it. So to design such sliding banner, they don't need to work hard. Ready-made components are present. So carousel is a component which is provided by Bootstrap. They just implement that component by adding their own images there. That means you can see, suppose the carousel component is available. So you can see that. So I will add here, you can see get Bootstrap. This is the Bootstrap website. In the Bootstrap website, you can go to here, components. You see you see there is a components category. Components category. In the components category, there is a carousel component. This is actually carousel. This is carousel. This is the carousel. And for this carousel, already the code is there. This code is implemented in every website. Every website, whoever is using such sliding banners, they are adapting everything from carousel only. That means it's a component. That means this component is already designed with functionality that we are integrating and using in our application. Integrating and using in our application. So we don't need to design all this. We need to just tell what are the images we need to keep at that location. At that location. So these are components. That means now actually this is a carousel component. This is a carousel component. And so you see this is a search component. This is a search component. We have a search component. 1 second. Yes. So we have carousel and we have this is search bar component and this is a toolbar component. That means everything is designed with components. We have a header component and actually these are called cards. Below we have cards. These are cards. That means application is designed with collection of components. It is configured and designed with collection of components. So generally, when that means you should know that our Angular application is component based. That means actually what happens is we will have components like some login component. We have like register components. So we will have components separately configured, login, register. Actually, we have a component called app component. This app component, so this app component comprises of generally you saw the carousel. When you saw the carousel, it's a component. Actually, if you know that, so component like carousel is actually a combination of HTML, CSS, and it is a combination of jQuery or JavaScript. That means it is designed with all this. Generally, in our Angular also, component is designed with HTML. So effects are given with CSS. Logic is defined in TypeScript. That means we have every component having the presentation, the effects, and the logic. And by default, in your project, you have a component called app component because every project comes with an app component. In this app component, the styles, logic, and presentation is present. And that app component is having a name called app root. That is the name of this app component. And this app component is being used, is injected into your index page. That means in the index body section, this app root is there. So that means your application, so app root is present. That means your application is actually starting with which component? Your application is starting with which component by default in this current project? Which component application is starting with? By default, which component is on your screen? So app component is on your screen. App component is on your screen. So if you want to customize this presentation, if you want to change this presentation, customize this presentation, where I have to go now? If I have to customize this presentation, where I have to go now? So that means we have to go to, you have to go to, observe carefully. We have app folder. Yes, you see, we have in SRC app folder. In app folder, you see app component HTML, app component CSS, app component TS file is present. Now I will go to app component HTML file because that is the presentation. App component HTML file. In this, all this design is there. Now app component HTML file, whatever design is there, I will delete it. I will clean up. And I will just keep here a heading. So say uh, shopping online. So that is just, I given a heading. And I, after making the changes, that means, so here, so I'm writing some content. So Angular single page application, something like this. After doing the modifications, so we need to save. You see app component.html, a black dot indicates that it is not yet saved. You have to save. Control yes, it will save. Once it is saved, actually your compiler is working in the background in the terminal. After making every change, when you save, it will compile again. After compiling, automatically it will update. It will update to your screen, and you can observe that now the home page is updated. That means that is where the data is coming from. Of course, we will learn how to create our own components. We will not use this existing component. We will learn how to create our own component, configure it, and define it. That means actually how the application starts up, how your application starts up. So this is index page. And here what you need to know is, so index.html, index.html is using app root, is using app root. So and which is a selector, which is a selector for app component, for app component, which is a selector for app component. So go to, you have to go to app folder. In that, go to app.component.html and customize the presentation, customize the presentation. And remember, so styles you can give. So here, so for example, you see here, when I go here, there is app component CSS file. This is app component CSS file. In this app component CSS file, I will give heading and some background color. So color, as these are all your general CSS. So color, and say color as white, and the text align as center. So padding as some 5 pixel. And similarly, we will apply for the paragraph. So generally, this is the heading. And you see that is the presentation, how it looks like. That means the styles are applied in the CSS file, and whatever the changes are defined, and we can configure them. So this is how the initial screen comes. Now we will learn how to work with the entire component environment. That means we will see how to create our own components, how to design the components and keep our components in the startup, how to work with them. This is what we will learn. But before that, we need to know how it starts up, how it configures, how it manages everything. So this is the basic approach we have to do. This is the basic approach. And after customizing, save changes. So this is control plus yes, and it will update and it will refresh the browser. Now make sure that in the backend your project is running. Sometimes what happens is, so in the terminal it is still compiling and running. If you press control C, it terminates the job. So yes, that means it stops. When it stops and when you refresh here, it's not working. That means your project is not compiling, it's not running, it's stopped. So we have to compile again, run again, ng serve serve hyphen project is equal to shopping. Then it will compile again, it will start the live development server. And once it compiles and starts the live development server, now your page will be again ready to deliver the output and work with that, because when server is stopped, nothing will happen. So you have to make sure that you have done this. And once it is compiled successfully, now you refresh this, then you will get the output and display. So now this is the basic approach of creating workspace, creating project, and the basic infrastructure. Now, how to create our own components, how to design an application with the combination of all these components, and how the presentation works here. These are the things we have to learn that we will discuss in the next session. We will discuss in the next session how to create the components and how do we work with our own components and deal with them. So tomorrow we will continue with this. This all notes I will upload into the classroom. Once try this, and if you have any doubts related to that, let me know about it. See the notes step by step, follow correctly, and try this. So don't do the live work and come with a doubt that this is not working, that is not working. Once thoroughly see the note I have given, see the spellings, see the commands, everything what I have given properly, follow them. It will work in every situation. There will be no issue. Still, if it is not working, let me know about that. We will check what is the problem in that. Okay, right. Already I given everything in the notes. Once go through it. Okay. Tomorrow we will continue and work with our own components and dealing with them.